honey, by the time the day was over, I was like, they ran over Harvey with the bus and backed it up. They ran over Wendi with the bus and backed it up. They might be going out of the courtroom in handcuffs before sentencing.
Hello, my true crime lovelies. How are you? Oh my goodness. So, this is not going to be, I'm not pulling up any documents. I'm just going to talk about what my instinct was in watching today, which is day one, or was day one. It still is day one of the testimony for Donna Adelson. I mean, I could have done backflips that the trial actually started, but I had no idea what I was in store for. Let me just make sure we're all good on audio. Okay, we should be. Everything is connected. I am not hearing myself though. Okay. Yeah, it started. That I mean the bar was low for me. It started, right? But then I would say the state blew my socks off, and I will do separate opening statement videos, and I also will cover Detective Isom. But so Sarah Dugan did the opening. It was beautifully laid out. She had this great multimedia presentation of like things swooping in as they happened, which I liked because it wasn't overwhelming. I think sometimes, we are used to seeing that graphic that has like Charlie and Donna and Harvey and Wendi and our victim, Dan Markel, Katie McBanawa. It's very busy. So they had like, like a big screen and there's a road, or at least I saw it as a road. You let me know if you saw it as some differences. And the things were coming down into it, right? And they laid out the timeline so beautifully. I would say this was like a practice run for when Wendi gets indicted. Honestly, it was amazing and just very well thought out. um Dugan had a clipped pace, but it didn't feel rushed. But like she was like, I got a story to tell and let me just get to it, and boom 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 boom. So that was nice. Then Donna Adelson's attorneys got up, and oh, I didn't even run the intro. I got so excited. Let me run the intro. Thank the members. Thank you for being here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like what you see overall, consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed. I'll see you on the other side. Okay. Deep breath. I realize I want to take a step back because I jumped right into opening. I want to talk about the last day of jury selection. I won't go over the whole thing. That'll be a separate video too. But the key takeaway for me was that they only seated 14. And I've seen a bunch of YouTube channels reporting that it was 15. I've watched it like 9 times. I watched it with Child TV Live. Even there, we counted it like 3 times to make sure we all had the correct count. They seated 14, not 15. Now, Judge Everett did say in the morning they would be seating 15. They were going to do the jury and then 3 alternates. So 12 plus 3 is 15. That is not what they seated. And I suspect, and it went really long, the jurors never broke for lunch. They had lots of breaks, but like 5-10 minute breaks, really like potty breaks, because there's a boatload of them. And then a bathroom break is like, how are you all getting in at the same time? You know what I mean? So it went really long, but Judge Everett runs a tight ship. And so I feel like he said, we've gotten to 14, we're going to call it. And then they swore the jury in. I feel like, and this is my 2 cents, it's not fact, I wasn't in the room, that perhaps Donna's team was trying to delay it because, they wanted to push back. They also were trying to make the case for a change of venue, which the judge was not going to rule on until they tried to seat the jury. So I think that was a compromise, like, so that it would be done, because it didn't make sense. Like, if you had 14 to then start the voir dire all over again just to get one more at like 6 o'clock at night. So I feel like the defense might have been a little salty. I just wanted to add that context. Again, my 2 cents. Excuse me. Okay, so then back to the opening. So there was a little bit of foreshadowing in the jury selection of where the defense was going. Clearly, they were going to stick with some version of Charlie's story, but it wasn't quite clear what it was. Jackie Fulford did the opening, and she made a little joke like, I don't think you've heard my voice yet, and blah, blah, blah at the beginning. And yes, her and Donna were twinning again, although Donna's in an oversized cardigan. One of the things I remember Josh Zellman said during voir dire is, you're not going to judge my client by her outfit, are you? And they said, no, of course people are going to say no, but there's like a subconscious thing, which he talked about, like not subliminal thinking. He talked about, oh my God, what is it? The bias that you don't know you have, whatever it is. I can't think of it. But I don't know what the strategy is with her appearance, like scruffy grandma, because then they're seeing all the photos in the opening. They showed Donna 2016, or yeah, 2016, who doesn't look like the Donna that's sitting in front of the jury, right? But the jury's not dumb. They're going to see the contrast, and they're either going to think she had some glow down of her own volition, or that they're trying to play up the feeble grandma, right? Jackie Fulford spent a lot of time talking about Dan Markel, appearing to be very sympathetic to Dan Markel. And she goes on to say, like, Donna may have sent some inappropriate emails or whatever during the divorce, but
who hasn't had a divorce like that?
Some people have, easy divorces, which came up in voir dire, and some people it's more contentious. So
it was all par for the course.
And how she wanted what was best for the children, how Dan Markel was such a thoughtful dad. He wanted to read a bedtime story to the boys every night, and he did it via Zoom. And Donna is the one who helped connect them, or Skype, I think, because she made a joke about not knowing what Skype is. But Donna was the one facilitating that connection and making sure it happened every night. She just laid it on like she was like the dutiful grandmother. And so they loaded a gun, really. She loaded a gun for the prosecution to kind of bring in all this rebuttal stuff. So we go into the first witness. So it's the neighbor. I think we've all seen that, the next door neighbor who was, thank God, saw the Prius. And that was kind of the jump off for everything else of like the Prius. And then the cops went back and looked at footage, you know what I mean? So had he not done that, I don't know where we would be. I mean, I know some people complain about it's been a long road, but it might have been even longer without him doing that. And thank God he's still alive. He's an elderly man, and it's like 11 years later. So we go through that. Defense doesn't ask any questions. Then we go through the woman who collected, who was at the scene and collected information, saw Dan. Then we go into a man. I was watching on Emily D. Baker's stream, and the man with the beard, everyone was calling him ZZ Top. So he went into the details, the nitty-gritty details. You and I went over that in the autopsy report that I did, except they had the pictures. So, and I know one of you guys sent me a note, you have the pictures. I just caution you all to think about your mental health. When I first started, early on in the channel, I had been talking to Florida PI Sam, and she was like, you can't unsee it. And so just be careful if you want to see it or not. So I would just caution you the same. My mind is very active. I suffer from anxiety. So what she told me was not taken lightly, and I've heeded that. But you know yourself better than I do. So Here's the part that got me, though, when they were going on about the description. Donna decided to have a Days of Our Lives moment. For you young people, that's a soap opera. I don't know if they have soap operas anymore. She's crying. The camera's on her. 0 tears. Emily pointed out that her nose and her eyes were not red either, which they had at least been red during the bond hearing where Donna was reenacting being attacked in the shower and not getting a good night's sleep. None of that. But then she's dabbing her eyes, the paralegal's giving her, after Donna folds up the dry tissue, the paralegal's pulling out another one, giving it to her. It was a lot, and the judge called BS on it. So he said he wasn't going to mention it again, but she needed to control, 1, her emotions, and 2, her facial expressions and gestures, like not to be nodding or agreeing, or he said,
Mrs. Adelson, when the testimony is occurring or the evidence, I know you may have a natural reaction, but as best possible, you need to control your reactions concerning any head movements, any expressions of disagreement, or any emotional outbursts. The jury must decide this matter on the merits, on the evidence. Do you understand this? Very well. I do not wish to do this in front of the jurors at all, but it's very important that you are able to control your emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Said the jury is going to make a decision based on facts and not on emotion. So knock it off. Knock it the fuck off, in judicial terms, as Miss Kathy over a Gossip Rumor and Innuendo would say. Or in those moments, I thought, yeah, they're playing this up. It's like she's just a victim in all of this. She, it's a tragedy that all this went on. So the defense is not disputing that there was a conspiracy to murder Dan Markel. What they're disputing is the state can't prove our client, Donna, was involved in this conspiracy. This sweet little grandma who was helping the dad read bedtime stories via Skype. So her crying just kind of plays, she just is trying to, be feeble in this oversized sweater. And she's got her assisted hearing device on, which she can also hear the sidebars in, right? Because of those tiny ear canals, she needs help hearing. But her attorney, well, I've seen, what's his name, Josh, in her ear more than I have Jackie, but we'll pull it back and talk to her. I've seen the paralegal do it too. Maybe because Jackie's not sitting next to her. Like, it's not rocket science. But yeah, she's playing up just being that old lady. And so then we went on. So after the medical examiner, I think we went to ISM. I got to look at my notes. Like I said, these are my raw thoughts. And the defense was acting brand new about all the evidence that was coming in, right? Lots of objections. The judge finally was like, I don't know why we're doing this. There was plenty of... Up here. Okay. Do you want to say hi? Hi. There was plenty of time. We delayed this trial twice to go through all these motions. This is the first I'm hearing of this. Jackie Fulford was like,
well, the prosecution didn't give it to us in order and it was a mess. We just got this a day ago.
or whatever, some foolishness. The judge wasn't buying it. Then it seemed like Georgia also got caught off guard because there were some documents that they were entering under ISM that she had not fully laid the foundation for. And you and I, we talked about this. We watched that hearing before where it was like, yeah, we'll follow the rules of evidence. Of course, there's foundation. However, in Georgia's defense, this is a tricky case because there's layers of foundation, right? Like Isom came in and he could talk about some of the emails, but he had to be the jump off because he had to talk about the search warrant to obtain Wendy's emails, right? And this is where I feel like Wendi low-key, from a legal standpoint, set her family up. Because why did she not delete those emails? Remember the text she deleted to Charlie? Oh, yes. Okay. This is so sweet. You're so sweet. The morning of the assassination, basically. She deleted that text message. They could tell she deleted it because it happened on the same day. Why didn't she delete all the emails from her mom? And there are some pretty damning emails in there. Or just uninstall the Gmail. You know what I mean? I feel like that was intentional. Let me know what you guys think, if I'm reaching or not. So intentional or not, whatever you think about it, they downloaded. And so they downloaded all of Wendy's emails with her mom, and they went back to 2011 that were in her phone. So Isom had to establish that. And then it was some of the things Wendy said, which Isom from the evidence rules can't say what Wendy said, right? You have to wait till Wendy's on the stand and get her to say that. Donna, however, whatever she said, he can say because she's a party opponent. So it seems like, I know Judge Everett ruled on this and said that the foundation had to be laid, but it was like, it ended up being okay because at the end she said, and I'm paraphrasing, like, can she layer in the foundation and not enter it into evidence until the foundation is built, so to speak, right? And he said yes. The jury was going in and out, in and out, in and out while all this was happening. And then the judge was like, listen, do I need to send the jury home and so we can get this sorted out, and we'll stay here all night as long as we need to? Mind you, it's a Friday. Nobody is signing up for that. Defense said no. Then there was the other thing with Georgia, and she was like, I don't think so. And that's when she asked about the layering, and he said, okay, we got through it, but it was rocky. The kicker was, it seemed like, so the things they were trying to keep out, that they were arguing about, that the judge had already ruled on, were things like, well, this one, oh my God. Donna in 2011 was sending Wendi Match.com links. Wendi was still married. Their divorce wasn't final until 2013, right? The defense was like, what's the relevance to that? And the state was like, and they had to let them out because there's no speaking objections, right? We learned about those in the Amber Heard, or Heard v. Depp, or Depp v. Heard. They were saying, listen, if the defense is, yes, honey, if the defense is going with, she only said bad things during the divorce and she was pro Dan, pro their marriage, this contradicts that, right? In 2011, she's on Match.com. That was before the divorce. And the defense was saying this is irrelevant because it's before the divorce. But state is saying it is relevant because of what you said in opening about the divorce. That was interesting that they were on Match.com. Then the defense tried to twist it because, remember, Donna and Harvey shared an email address. So they were like, you can't prove that it was Donna. Honey, by the time the day was over, I was like, they ran over Harvey with the bus and backed it up. They ran over Wendi with the bus and backed it up. They might be going out of the courtroom in handcuffs before sentencing, the way the defense was laying out. So they were, you know, when they questioned Isom, it was basically like, you don't know who sent that, do you? It could have been Harvey. Well, it's not a good look if it was Harvey. Like, why would Harvey be sending Match.com? You know what I mean? Like, you're bringing him into a case that I don't even know if he's listed as an unindicted co-conspirator. Wendi is. And then I'm like, well, why would you mess with Wendi and she hasn't testified yet? Like, she holds the key to your future. Basically, at least play nice because, well, I jumped ahead because then they had Luis Rivera, who they had the defense had a diagram of all of the one I was talking about in the beginning, right? There's one of Danny and a picture of Luis and Sigfredo, Katie, Charlie. Harvey is on there. Wendi is on there. And basically, Jackie Fulford was like, didn't I have you? Oh, and she kept calling him Garcia. And he was like, Rivera, ma'am. Like, that's the second time. She had him mark out who was Katie and what her role was. Like, what she said wasn't Katie the mastermind? And he was like, yeah, so that she had a one. When Katie comes out there, the jury is going to know Katie is not a mastermind of anything. The person he marked as the one who would benefit, the one who wanted this, was Wendi. So they didn't point one finger at Wendi. They pointed 8 fingers and 2 digits. Like,
Girl, You in trouble now.
Wendy, she could turn that around in her own testimony, right? Of like, she could play up my mother is so controlling. I was married and she's sending me these things. She helped me pick out my husband. Because the defense is trying to make it like, oh, poor little grandma didn't know what was going on, just trying to do the best for everyone. And Wendy would be able to lay it on thick that her mother is conniving, right? Also, I think the defense is playing a dangerous game because Rob could be a rebuttal witness, the eldest son. Uh-oh, you okay? Oh. Because he could, if they say, you know, Donna is not a meddlesome control freak, which is they're trying to paint that, right? They're like, she's normal. She wasn't in charge of everything at the dental office. She was like a managerial role. She just kept it organized. But Rob could also say and get into what happened with his wife, right? Like, my mom didn't want me to marry her and they threatened to disown me. That proves Donna is all up in her kids' business. I just feel like they are, what is it, sliding down a razor blade. It's a very vicarious position they've put themselves in. So if it's Harvey sending the emails and Wendy wanted the hit and Donna was just like, oh, I don't know. My favorite son, Charlie, was at risk of something, so I jumped in to help him last minute. There's plenty of evidence to rebut that, right? It was you, Donna. And some of the emails are signed where it says Harvey or it says mom or, you know what I mean, or it says dad. So those are clearer, but not all of them are signed. Please hold. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up because they're separate videos, like I said, coming. I just have thoughts. So some of the divorce stuff started coming in under Detective Isom's testimony, skipping back to him. There was one thing that they want redacted and the judge agreed to. If you remember in one of the motions, the judge said the entire binder for the divorce cannot come in, but they can use it visually as a demonstrative to show how big the file was, right? There were certain specific things they were going to take out. So one of them that is entered in, or that they're going to enter in when Wendy gets on the stand, is the email where Donna was talking about taking pictures of the children in front of a church, a Catholic church, and the conversion, and what would he want. And she refers to the family court judge as a nice Southern black lady who, you know, basically like, she probably is religious, and if your children are going to a Catholic school, that'll be in your favor. If they're going to, like, Christianity-wise, or not Judaism. So the judge agreed to take it out. State didn't want it out. They felt like it wasn't prejudicial. Defense felt like it was more prejudicial than probative, and the judge just said it plainly. Listen, there are a few African Americans on the jury who might take offense to that, take umbrage, I guess, and so yeah, it's fine to take it out. Which it doesn't change the context of what she's saying. I mean, it's still ridiculous that they're going to pretend to be Catholic to annoy Danny, right? So that's the crux of it, without having that spin of like,
Oh, is she a racist?
I guess they're going to redact some of the phone calls with her and Charlie because they did talk about the black people there too. But, you know, we got to pick our battles. Right? We got to pick our battles. So, yeah, that's just my gut reaction on it. Like I said, I'll do proper videos. You know, I like to pull up receipts and all of that fun stuff. I will do that, but I wanted to make sure. Oh, my God. Come on, let's say goodbye. Hold on. I want to make sure I just got my thoughts out and what your thoughts are, because I'm sure your head is spinning. You saw what happened today.
Goodbye.
All right. With that, I will talk to you in the comments because I am curious as to what you have to say. Right?
Yeah.
All right. See you later. Toodles.
Tia. Tia.